Dang, girl, like, what you really doing right now, girl? You crashing out. You crashing out over right nigga. Hello, welcome and or welcome back to my channel. My name is Donna Kebra, and I create space for radical bad bitch shits. If you're just like, I can dig that, then you're in the right place. And if you're just like, what the hell does that mean? Stick around to find out. Bow, 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 bow. So I came here today because there were a few things happening in pop culture that felt very related and similar in regards to being in relationships romantically with men and how it's very abrasive. Like the relationships aren't smooth and just like great from beginning to end or great from beginning, middle, or end. So I just felt like I wanted to kind of psychoanalyze, socioanalyze, socio like theorize how patriarchy is so abrasive, like naturally, and how like more than likely, if you're in a romantic relationship with a man, a cis het man, then it's probably going to be an abrasive situation. Yeah, girl. So basically, without all of the like fluff words and all this other stuff, I came here to talk about Sky Jackson, Kiki Palmer, and Young Miami because they all recently have been in like the news cycle, and all of their like stories are related to men and how them being in close proximity to men is getting them like scrutinized in the public eye. So yeah, girl, let's just like dig into it a little bit and really look and think about like what is the common denominator here? The common denominator is patriarchy. Say it with me. The common denominator is patriarchy, and it's not serving us. Let's drop it, but let's get into it. So the first person that I want to bring up is Sky Jackson. She's a young and talented child star. She's known for being in like a whole bunch of different Disney shows and, you know, like commercials and just very like family friendly, kid friendly type things. Child actors and child stars, especially Disney actors and Disney stars, they don't get the best rep because I mean, they usually go from like being ultra sweet and just the sweet family child protege, and then eventually they rebel and all of the stuff. You see that with Miley Cyrus, you see the stuff with Demi Lovato, and like a whole bunch of other child stars, Lindsay Lohan or whatever. Sky Jackson is a child star who has an affinity to yellow niggas. I don't know what the hell that's all about, girl. Wait, and yeah, with yellow niggas, like the first guy that I remember she was like related or tied to was Solange's son. And I think that he did some like revenge porn esque kind of thing with her. That's what I remember hearing like years ago. And then now she got like caught up in some domestic violence dispute situation with this yellow ass faux gangster. Like, what's going on, girl? What's going on? Like, she clearly got a type. Anyway, so yeah, about the domestic violence thing, sis literally got arrested for domestic violence because she was caught allegedly on camera shoving her boyfriend, ex, alleged baby daddy, alleged fiance. And yeah, like she shoved him. People called the police. The police viewed the footage and then they arrested her. I'm just like, damn, what the fuck the footage looking like? I think I'm gonna actually look for the footage, but I just know that like she's really, really small and he's really, really big. So while I do believe that everyone needs to keep their hands to themselves, regardless of gender, regardless of age, regardless of race, class, all of that, all of the isms and isms, she need to keep her hands to herself. And also, I'm just like, was it something that really felt like he was in danger? Did it seem like he was genuinely being threatened in that way? I don't really think that the behavior is excusable because, like I said, I feel like people need to keep their hands to themselves. And also, I want to see the footage because, I mean, dang, there be things I be seeing in person where I'm just like, damn, like, should I call fast, whatever, whatever? The answer is usually no. Like, I'd rather intervene myself or like do street justice because, you know, police always gotta like do too fucking much. But I'm just like, damn, like, sis was pushing him and beating him up that bad that they had to call police and police arrested her. Like, damn, girl, like, what you was doing like that? Yeah, so she got arrested, and like this affects her public perception because she's known for being a child star. She's known for being like palatable and, you know, like a family household name. And she used to be like this sweet person, little girl who plays little innocent girls on TV shows and things like that. So it's just like, damn girl, like what you really doing right now, girl? You crashing out. You crashing out over a nigga. And then like a light skin. Girl, what's going on? A faux gangster girl? This affects her public perception, which will eventually affect her work, which will eventually affect her money. So I'm just like, sis, you don't want to really crash out over no nigga. Like, I don't know what y'all are arguing about. I don't know what you were pushing this man for. None of that really matters because when it comes to like physical violence, I feel like people should keep their hands to themselves. And also, but I feel like it's still like safe to say like intimate partner violence is usually extremely high for men against women or men against non-men. So I just want to throw that out there. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep saying this and reiterating this. People just need to keep their hands to themselves. Honestly. Really. Because if she did, she wouldn't have gotten arrested. I don't know what the fuck they was arguing over or anything like that. But girl, not in public, girl. What you doing? Not behind closed doors either. But at the end of the day, like, you gotta know you're a public figure. And it seemed like they took an inch and really made a mile out of it. And really, like, made her, like, an example. Because to say that she got arrested for pushing someone, that just sounds a little overkill when the criminal justice system is killing people, killing black people, and they don't get no time at all. So I'm just like, yes, keep your hands to yourself. And also, I feel like the criminal injustice system is just a joke. Like, y'all really arrested this girl for pushing somebody? What's going on? Anyways, so not only does it affect her like job and her money and things like that, it also like affects her physical safety. And because if he would have pushed her back, you know, we would have been like, oh hell no. If he would have hit her, we would have been like, oh hell no. If someone else would have jumped in and like would have hit her or something like that, we would have been like, oh hell no. So her physical safety is in jeopardy because she's wanting to physically like harm this person. And then even going to jail, that puts you in physical danger already as it is. The police are violent. Being in jail is a violent community and space. So it's just like really treacherous waters. And I'm saying all of this to say, like, if the niggas get you out your bag like that, you need to leave that nigga. Like, really, if you are in a place where you are in public and to the point where you so upset and you so furious that you gotta put your paws on somebody, that's not the environment you need to be in. We're all human beings. She's young. I know I've been in some sticky situations when I was her age. I think she's like 21 years old or around that age. So I definitely understand like we make mistakes and things like that. And also like, let this be your last mistake, mama. When it comes to putting your paws on somebody, we don't want to be hearing no stories about you doing no craziness like this and be wrapped up in nothing like this. And then allegedly she said something where everybody's like assuming that this might be just a rumor that she said or just like a lie that she said just to get out of being arrested about how she's engaged and how she's like pregnant and stuff. She was hoping that that would get her out of getting arrested. It didn't. She still got booked. But if you are with child for this man, you need to really like think about that. Really rethink that. Really rethink that. I know that, you know, abortion rights and all of that stuff is real sketchy right now. And also, I just feel like, think about that. Because if you're so upset to the point where you put your paws on somebody, even if it's nothing that the guy did, like he could have did something to her beforehand that we didn't see on camera or anything like that. I don't want to speculate because whatever it was enough for her to get arrested and not him. But if that's the space that you're in, if you're so easily available and easily ready to physically touch somebody when you're upset or if they say something you don't like or something like that, first of all, you shouldn't be having a child with them. Second of all, you shouldn't be having children right now. You're not emotionally mature enough to be having children. You're not emotionally mature enough to be having children with somebody like that or to be, in a relationship where you that upset and that angry. Now, how this is tied into patriarchy is just the fact that like you with this man, right, who is a faux gangster. I gotta keep saying this faux gangster. And you probably feeling like, oh yeah, like that's my boyfriend, you know, like you put your paws on him. So clearly something happened to the point where you feel like it was a good idea to put your paws on this guy. But then when the consequences came of feds coming and wanting to lock you up, now you want to OD attach yourself to him, thinking that that would be protection enough to save you from being arrested. Not only did you say that you were pregnant with his child, you also said that you were his fiance. There's this false idea and this false narrative that patriarchy means, or that being with a man, being in proximity to a man keeps you safe, right? Like men are supposed to be the protectors and the providers and things like that. And also she was hoping that her tying herself to carrying his child and being his property essentially, you know, because that's what wives are like a man's property. That's the root of marriage. She was hoping that that would allow her to be safe enough to not be arrested, and it didn't work, right? So it's just like, damn, sis, whatever the reason was of you putting your hands on him, was it worth you getting arrested? I don't know. If he didn't hit you first, I don't think so personally. If he did hit you first, then bitch, you should have hit him harder. Okay, it should have been more than just a push and a shove. If he hit you first, or if he was being physical with you. But if that's not the case, then it's just like, damn, you being in proximity with this guy not only didn't save you from getting arrested, it actually allowed you to get arrested. Like, you being in proximity with this guy and being so pissed off to the point where you putting your hands on him, you putting your paws on him, that shit got you arrested. Like, yeah, like, I'm sure y'all are, you know, she got out soon or whatever, but it's just like, at what cost? You with this guy, at what cost? If you feel comfortable enough to put your hands on someone, that's not a relationship that you should be in. If you feel like that's normal for you to want to put your hands on someone, first of all, you need therapy, mama. I don't know if she in therapy or what, but clearly you a little angry. You need to go see somebody about that. And also, if a relationship is getting you to that point, maybe you need to like take a step back and really like rethink everything that's going on, whether you are meant to be together. If you are with child, what does that mean? You need to reconsider that. If y'all are engaged, what does that mean? You need to reconsider that. Anyways, continuing on. So I also want to touch on Keke Palmer, our good girl Keke, who was another child star that we know. Keke, like the cool home girl that, you know, was raised with us or whatever. Child prodigy, you know, like everybody respects her. She hasn't really been in any scandalous things like that. And I actually remember talking to one of my good friends about how I'm like, wow, there's like some child stars that just never really get into foolishness. And I had named Keke Palmer as one of those people. But girl, I gotta take that back. I mean, I guess Kyla Pratt, my little twin, my celebrity twin. Hey, Kyla Pratt. Kyla Pratt, my celebrity twin. Like, girl, if I ain't had no tattoos, and if I wasn't a little bit, you know, me and Kyla Pratt could have been siblings for real. Like, I look like her for real. Hey, Kyla. A family, a proud family. Anyway, back to Keke Palmer. So Keke Palmer was like in the news a few months ago. I believe it was last year, where she went to the Usher concert and she was, you know, looking cute or whatever, feeling herself. He was serenading her. It was like a whole vibe. And then her boyfriend slash father of her child was like, what are you doing? Like, why you got that dress on? You're a mom. So, you know, like all the social medias were erupting, all the blogs were erupting. There were think pieces for days and weeks and months. People were making videos like myself and things like that. Right? So everybody was talking about it because just like, ew, the misogyny is strong with that one. Like, I know you did not get on Beyonce internet acting a fool. Talking about she's a mom. Why are you in that dress? She's a mom. Okay, and your bald headed ass is a dad and you out here acting a fucking fool. Next. Anyway, so that was like months ago, probably like around, like that was like a year ago actually. Like, when I think about like around a year ago when that all had happened. So we was all looking at him like, oh, you're a misogynist, like ew. And you know, when there's smoke, there's fire. Because eventually, like months later, there was like this scandal of like information being leaked and things like coming out to the fact that like he has been physically aggressive, physically abusive towards Keke Palmer. So, you know, first we were just like, a lot of people were kind of like, ha ha ha, told you so, or like, yeah, duh, like of course, like what you thought, blah blah blah. And I don't think that that should be the avenue that we take when it comes to men being misogynist and then eventually being revealed that they are indeed, like, they indeed hate women, right? They indeed dislike women. They indeed want to evoke some type of harm on a woman or towards a woman. It's just not helpful. It's not supportive. So that came out, like, I believe like towards the end of last year. I remember that, yeah, like towards the end of last year, like early this year, towards the end of last year, it came out like there were like screenshots and like, girl, it was just like a whole bunch of stuff going on in the courts where they was having like restraining orders and like phone calls was being leaked and text messages was being leaked. So it just seemed like he was physically abusive to Kiki, and I believe that he was like claiming that she has been physical towards him as well, and like her mom has threatened him and things like that. And we must keep in mind that the dynamic between genders does play a role in the like intimate partner violence statistics. I'm probably going to put some numbers down on the screen just to like emphasize how important that is. I do not excuse anyone putting their hands on anybody, and also like I don't condemn anyone for fighting back their abuser. Like, hello, look at Gypsy Rose. Sis did a hard time for killing her crazy ass mama. I don't think she should have. But you know, the court system is so broken, the injustice system is so unjust that that's what happens. But when you're being abused, especially for like long periods of time, eventually you might get to that point where you might take a nigga head off. You get what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't get to that point. That's where intervention comes in. That's where community comes in. That's where like support systems come in. But the support systems, at least in this country of the United States of America, are so broken and weak and raggedy that it sometimes you gotta do a little street justice, if you know what I mean. Okay, so you need to handle some things without calling the law. Okay, period. So I'm saying all of that to say, like, I'm saying all of that to say, I'm saying all of that to say that that happened last year. And then we fast forward to a few days ago. I believe he posted a picture of like himself, Keke Palmer, and then like their child together in the park with like this photo op ass picture. I'm like, did paparazzi take this picture of you? Like, did y'all plan this? Whatever. Like, it just seems so like ready for Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was ready for the blogs, girl. They knew we was gonna eat them up. They knew we was gonna eat them up, and we did. But then the person that got ate up the most was Keke Palmer. You know, everybody's like, this dumbass girl, this dumbass this dumbass that, da 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 da. But then we have to remember that we're in a space, in a system of patriarchy where it's kind of like normalized to have, it's better to have a bad man. It's better to have a toxic man. It's better to have an abusive man than no man at all. And that's exactly like what it's giving for Keke Palmer, especially since they have a child together. You know, a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to make it work for the child. The child's going to have a 2-parent household and things like that. And being a child of divorced parents, I say that like the household really do be better when it's happy, even if the shit's separate. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's better to be separate than to be like abusing each other. It's better to be separate than to hate each other. It's better to be separate than to be miserable. Like, hello, come on, yeah, you gotta use the common sense. But I feel like children are the scapegoat and the excuse for ignoring bad behavior because nah, if the man will do it to you one time, the man will do it again. Especially if like there is no atonement, if there is no like walking through the streets Cersei style, where people throwing piles of shit at you and you screaming and you screaming to everybody and you saying like, please forgive me, I've done this and this. I'm not gonna do that ever again because I learned this and this. I've been reading on this and this. I went to therapy and I learned that this like unless there is some type of atonement process where you're in deep self-reflection, and that goes for the both of them. And also like I'm talking about sis boyfriend right now. If there is no deep reflection that comes with being like, okay, this was wrong, this is why it was wrong, this is why I won't do it again, and this is why I don't want to do it again. You know, because I believe in restorative justice. I do believe that there are ways for people who perpetrate harm, people who perpetrate abuse, there is a way for them to be restored. There is a way for them to like rediscover what could have happened differently, what can happen differently in the future. I do believe in that. And also that takes work. You know what I'm saying? That's not, you don't just forgive the abusive behavior away. You don't just forgive the toxic foolishness away. You don't just, as the victim, just be like, okay, I forgive you. No, the person who has perpetrated that violence needs to do deep internal reflective work in order for them to realize what was wrong, why it was wrong, and why moving forward, that's not behavior that they want to repeat. I don't think that he's done that. I could be wrong, and I don't mind being wrong, but I say with my 10 toes on the ground, he probably hasn't done that. I'm sure there have been apologies and things like that, but apology isn't restorative justice. Apology isn't restorative work. Apologies aren't changed behavior. Apology isn't like changed mindset for you to think that that was okay to do in the first place, second place, and third place. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, mm, I'm just not fucking with it because if the nigga do it once, you get a nigga an inch. What he gonna take? If you give a nigga an inch, he ain't gonna take no cinch. You give a nigga an inch, he ain't gonna take no cinch. He gonna take a mile or more. Give a nigga an inch, he gonna take it to the moon. Okay, word to Megan Thee Stallion. Like you give him an inch, they gonna take it to the moon. You get what I'm saying? So it's like you're showing him that it's okay to do this. I feel like there are ways for people, like I said, to restore themselves, to atone, to grow, to learn, and all the other things. And I feel like that can also still be done while in partnership. And also, like, it doesn't look like forgiving them. And then we're just be like, okay, let's start over. Forgiving them, be like, let's try this again. I don't think that that is going to change the behavior. And more than likely, before it's all said and done, we're going to see, I'm pretty sure we're going to see some foolishness about Keke Palmer and her father's child going through something again. The girl has had a spotless career. She's had a spotless personal life. It's been whatever, whatever, whatever. We don't want like the tainting of the reputation, the tainting of the career options, the tainting of the money and things like that. It's just like, you really about to make this nigga fuck you up like that? Like, no, mama. And then even outside of like the reputation, it's just like your safety, girl. Safety for you and your child. Safety for you and your pick-me. It's just like that's really important. And I mean, hello, if you don't respect yourself, put yourself first, girl. It ain't worth it. Like having a his broke ass, bum ass, dusty ass, stupid ass, ugly ass, bald headed ass, oh dumb ass. Like, girl, please. Blocked. And I'm not calling back. I ain't finna let him treat me like that. I know the last guy that I was talking to, the last guy I was talking to, he finna watch this and he finna be pissed. Mad. Pissy in his clothes. Thanking because he's so pissy. Don't care. Down with the patriarchy. Don't care. I want to just throw in a quick snippet. I don't know. Like, it's just so funny. But, like, the last guy that I was talking to, this is literally none of y'all business. This is not really, it's a little bit related. I just want to get it off my chest. The last guy that I was talking to, that I was, like, fandangling with, that really was trying to, like, dangle, like, concepts of patriarchy in front of me, of being like, oh, maybe we'll get married. Maybe we'll have children, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, I don't want none of these things. So it's harder for guys to, like, trick me into being in a relationship that I don't want to be in because that end goal, that's not my end goal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want continuous joy and happiness and like reciprocity. But he was trying to like dangle other things in front of me. I'm just like, I don't want that. So that's not going to really get me. The man really tried to make me choose between like my art and me like being creative and creating different things like my music and videos and photos and like things like that. He really wanted me to choose between my art and him. What you think I chose? Be for real. Girl, the patriarchy be having them entitled. I'm like, you not even that guy for real. I'm that guy. You know what I'm saying? You know that nigga for real. I'm that nigga for real. What are you talking about? Like, imagine losing myself for a man. All of this. All of this. All of this. Girl, please. Anyways, back to what I was saying about Keke Palmer. So, like, one thing that I really wanted to say about the whole Keke Palmer thing is that, like, romantic relationships are so forgiving. Romantic relationships are so like convincing to just make work and things like that. When we see romantic comedies, when we see like TV shows, or you know, like we read different like books or articles and things like that, or we see people in their everyday lives. When men have mistakes, when men make mistakes, we're taught to just be like, okay, but see the humanity in him, and he didn't mean to do that, and there's a way for him to fix this, and maybe that was just a one time, and he was having a bad day, maybe his pants were too tight, and he just broke. You gotta remember, the white man is racist towards him. He has to work hard, and blah 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 blah. And it's just like we're giving this list of things to forgive men. Specifically, I'm talking about black men because I'm in proximity to black men. Whatever, and like all the guys that I'm talking about are black. Scott Jackson boyfriend. But anyways, like there's a list of things that we're given in order for us to be forgiving of these guys that we're in proximity to when it comes to romantic relationships. But that's not the same case when it comes to being in relationship with our family, when in relationship with our friends. I feel like with family, it probably is a little bit similar because, people be like, that's your family, that's your family. But still, like, I just feel like when women are in relationship with men, there's so many reasons to forgive them after something that is a behavior we would not excuse in a different kind of relationship. If I had a friend put their hands on me, if I had a friend put their hands on me and like hit me, I'm obviously not going to be friends with them anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why does romance get so many passes when there's clearly abusive behavior going on? Why do romantic relationships get passes when there's clearly abrasive behavior happening? Why do romantic relationships get passes? Why do romantic partnerships get passes when there's abuse going on, when there's abrasive behavior going on, when there's like infidelity going on and disrespect? We wouldn't tolerate that kind of behavior from friends. We would not tolerate that kind of behavior from our friend. Why are we tolerating that from men? Because men are seen as a prize in a patriarchy. People rather have a bad man than no man at all, which is crazy as fuck to me. But yeah, like I just think about the Keke Palmer situation, which is like there's video evidence, but we only see like screenshots out of that video. But there's video evidence, there's recorded evidence of Keke Palmer's like boyfriend slash father of her child being abusive, hitting her, grabbing her, choking her, holding her down. If that was her homegirl, I don't think she would be friends with that person anymore. If that was her homeboy, I don't think she would be friends with that person anymore. She's the one who warned us about Trey Songz. So she knows that that kind of behavior is unacceptable. And also, when you are in a romantic relationship with someone, there are things that we just kind of give a pass to. Yes, people are human. And also, that does not mean that we should put up with abrasive behavior. Something that's abrasive, when you think about like those scouring pads that we use to wash dishes, imagine putting that shit to your face and just wiping your face with that. That's abrasive as fuck. No, sandpaper. You gonna wash your body off with sandpaper? No. That shit is abrasive as a motherfucker. So it's just like, why put up with some behavior that can easily just scar you in a way that is unnecessary and something that you know is wrong? This is we don't be trusting our gut, girl. We don't be trusting our gut. Animals trust their gut. Animals trust their gut. You see a deer in the forest, they hear something, they running. You know what I'm saying? A zebra in the wild on the Sahara, the zebra hears something, they don't even care what it is. They running the other way. You feel me? A bird hear a gunshot, they flying away. Because they already know. I don't know what it is, but something don't feel right. And I feel like us as human beings, us as animals in the animal kingdom, as human beings, we are still animals, but we are the only animals that don't trust their gut. And that's why we end up fucked up bad over a man. Next. Yeah, and then also like I feel like I'm kind of tugging on Keke's wig a little bit, but I feel like it's just something that I see with like people that I know. Feel like I could have been in a situation like this. I probably have been in situations like this, very similar to Keke, where it's just like you should have left a while ago, but you over here being so forgiving. And you know, women are socialized to being patient and kind and understanding and forgiving. These men are not like that. You do one thing that they do not like, they are out the door, girl. They do not look back. They just replace you with somebody else. You're just like a placeholder, right? And they can do this life thing or whatever it is that they think that they're doing with anybody else. That's a reflection on them. Yeah, like that shows that they are, you know, unhappy and empty and things like that. And also, like, girl, like, get tougher. Because the boy who cried wolf is a real fable, right? And the lesson in that is just like, we gonna have your back. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was running, ready to have your back, and we was supporting you. We cussing this bald head, ugly ass man out, right? We cussing him out for you, his broke ass, dumb ass, stupid ass, ugly ass, right? Like we cussing him out for you and with you, and also like you went back to him, and that's human and that's understandable because that is what happens when you're in domestic violence situations. I know plenty of women who are in domestic violence situations and it's been a 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They said the average time for a woman to leave, I believe, is like between 7 or 8 times. I know people who are well past that, double, triple digits of abuse. So I understand that it's easier said than done to leave someone that you have a connection with, even though they are treating you very, very horribly. And on top of that, like she has a child with him. So I definitely can like sympathize with the fact that she feels like she wants to try to make this work. And also I do know other women who left the first time. And I know women who left the second time, third time, fourth time. You know what I'm saying? So like after a while, we got to start putting ourselves in a situation where it's just like, come on, mama, we're going to have your back at the end of the day because, you know, well, I don't know. I just understand from a more statistical point that this is easier said than done. And also, like, the boy who cried wolf, keep that in the back of your mind, mama. Because after a while, everybody gonna be like, okay, girl, like, what you want us to do? Like, I'm gonna be there to hold your hair and rub your back. And also, if you like it, baby, I'm supposed to love it. I'm just saying. Like I said, the behavior will likely repeat because abusers don't just be like, whoa, that was bad. I don't think I should do that. Because they're abusing you for a reason. There's a deficit within themselves. So they're not going to just out of nowhere just fill that deficit, especially if he's not atoning and doing the restorative work necessary for him to like change his behavior and change his like functions mentally and like fundamentally. That's something that you have to actually put work into. And if he's not putting in that work, then the behavior will likely repeat. So all I got is to send healing energy to Kiki and the baby, and hopefully eventually she'll understand that she's worth more than being with the guy just because they duplicated genetics together and that ended up being a child and a human and things like that. Like, just because you got a baby with him don't mean nothing, girl. Look at Sierra. Next. Okay, continuing on with Caresha Brownlee, aka Young Miami. I just like to say her full name because she's from Miami, you know, she's from where I'm from. Yeah, so I'm like, Caresha was recently on her podcast, Caresha Please, and she had like basically interviewed herself. Let's just say that. That's what I'm feeling. I thought Caresha basically interviewed herself. She had her best friend, Saucy Santana, interviewing her in regards to like where she's been, what's been going on with her, and like the situations that she's been dealing with for the last few months. At the end of the day, she's on her platform and that's her best friend. So the first thing she said out of her mouth was like, I'm not here to be strategic. I'm just like, that's strategy right there. Like, girl, you not fooling us. I've watched literally all the seasons of Survivor, so I know strategy when I see it. Baby, that's strategy 101. Like, say, I'm not here to be strategic. Who are you fooling, girl? Anyway, so she recently did an interview just expressing like where she's been in regards to her and like JT with the City Girls, in regards to her being in a romantic relationship with Diddy and, you know, all those other things, whatever. Now, I have some thoughts in regards to her and the whole like conversation and the comments that she made about like being an ex City Girl and like not being in a group anymore with JT, but I'm just gonna focus on the whole Diddy situation since this is a video talking about patriarchy and things like that. While I feel like patriarchy and Young Miami being with Diddy affected the relationship that she had with JT and being a city girl musically, I'm just gonna stick to like her romantic relationship with Diddy, and I'm gonna just keep my JT thoughts to myself. Anyways, so Caresha has been known to be dating Diddy like at least 2.5 years at this point. Like, I remember first hearing the news and being like, why? Like, it just felt so like disingenuous and just not good. First of all, Diddy has been having a horrible reputation since forever. You know what I'm saying? Diddy, Puffy, whatever the fuck you want to call himself, Brother Love, whatever the fuck you want to call himself. He's been having a reputation that has always been very stank and just very scary. Almost like I would never want to be. I feel like if I was to see him, I'd probably be literally scared. Few things scare me, bitch, because I stay grounded and I stay with, you feel me, like a little garlic in my pocket. You feel me? But I feel like being around him, like I would genuinely be afraid because of just the things that you hear about him. Like after a while, it's just like there's people you just don't play with. Him, Suge Knight, you get what I'm saying? Russell Simmons, like those kind of people, I don't want to be around them. I don't want to be in no room with them. I don't want them to see me. I don't want no eye contact. So yeah, like when I first heard that Diddy and Caresha was dating, I'm just like, that's suspicious. That's suspicious. Like, huh? So everybody been frowning on Diddy for at least 20 years at this point. Like, it's no confusion. There's no secret that he's been known to just being someone that's abusive, controlling, like very mob boss-ish, you know, like very murderish, very murder. So yeah, like there was just some things that Caresha said in her interview where I was just like, girl, you knew that nigga was funky. Like, don't act like whatever. She's like, oh, I was celebrating him while the world was celebrating him. I'm like, the world was celebrating him in the same way the world celebrate Chris Brown. The world was celebrating him. Like, no, girl, we was all saying like, what are you doing, girl? What? I've talked about this before in like other videos, but just to reiterate that both Diddy and Caresha benefited from being romantically involved with each other. And like, honestly, I'm just like romantically involved. Like, I just don't see the connection romantically. And also like Caresha has expressed in several times that she performs for men when it comes to being sexually involved in the bedroom and things like that. So the way that I experience romance and the way that other people may experience romance may not be the same way that she does. Because when it comes to Young Miami and Diddy, I don't see it. I'm sure it probably has happened, but it just seems so like fake. I don't know, like it just don't give real to me. And I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm not saying that they weren't romantically, physically involved. What I'm saying is that like, they was both pretending to get what it is they needed out the next one, because both of them are like pretenders. He's a bigger pretender than she is, but at the end of the day, she's a motherfucking city girl. And what do city girls have to do? They have to lie, cheat, and steal to whoever they're with and whoever has the biggest bank account. Okay, and at that moment, it was Diddy. Walk with me here. So yeah, like I'm bringing it up and like it's just very sex work adjacent. I remember when like the scandal of Diddy had first came out in the beginning of this year, well the end of last year, when Cassie had wrote that lawsuit and she ended up getting her monies, her figures immediately less than 24 hours. I remember like other things had started to come out like later on, like weeks later and months later, of how like Young Miami's like a sex worker. Young Miami's carrying like pink cocaine and like they're doing these freak off parties and like all the other things. These are all alleged. I just want to state that. But also like, you know, I've been talking about sex workers and how people frown upon sex workers, but I'm just like, they're everywhere. And you'd be surprised like what people are doing in order to be romantically involved with somebody. They wouldn't call it sex work. But as someone who has that eye, who can just see it and like has that experience of just knowing and having friends and things like that, there was a mutual benefit from Diddy and Carisha being together, okay? And they were romantically involved. That right there, and like they sex working. That's sex work right there. Hello. Girl, don't get me started. Anyways, so Young Miami was afforded, so Carisha was afforded a podcast, card game, clothing line, all of these things. You know, she went to like the Met Gala and like all this stuff. She was talking about like Vogue and getting ready with Vogue and things like that. So those are things that like allowed her to get more fame, more eyes on her, more like people talking about her and having her name in their mouth and things like that. So that was beneficial for her. And then for Diddy, he's around this young girl. She's hip, she's fly, she's creating pop culture. You know, she's constantly going viral for the things that she says, the things that she wears, the things that she does. You know, she's the it girl right now. Like she's a part of that crowd of being the young, fly, young hot ebony, right? And like she's so, I don't want to necessarily use the word innocent, but like Young Miami, Carisha could be described as just like very bubbly, carefree, happy-go-lucky. She reminds me a lot of Portia Williams, and like her relationship with Diddy reminds me a lot of Portia Williams and Simon Guobadia, of how like, yes, they have money and also like they're using your youth to like, it's like very vampiric, where they're using the youth to like stay youthful in a way, because just like now he's still relevant again. People aren't really talking about the abuse. You know, she's kind of down for whatever. She knows how the game goes, like blah blah blah. Like she'll lie for you, she'll say certain things for you, she'll still hold you down and things like that, because she understands what that street life is like. And because Diddy really takes on the persona of being like this mob boss street person who is anything, you know, by any means necessary, I feel like he kind of like went after in Miami knowing that like she came from stuff like that, and it's easier to manipulate someone who is from that like street lifestyle, because first of all, they kind of used to abrasion, they're used to abrasive behavior, and also like they willing to do whatever for some money, for some fame, for more attention, for a card game, for a podcast. Like they willing to kind of like ignore some things and put up with some things because they want it that bad. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like he likes going after people who have dreams of being like stars, because when you go after someone who has dreams of being like in the public eye or being a star, you use that to continue to like keep them around and like treat them like shit and abuse them. Once the skeleton started tumbling out of Diddy's overstuffed skeleton closet, it was kind of like Young Miami in her interview was like, oh, it's like an aha moment. Like, oh, we told you, so like it's an aha. And it's like the only way we will be able to say I told you so is if we told you, if we did tell you so. The only way someone can say I told you so is if they told you something in the past. So if some people were like, be careful, watch your back, just know, keep your eye open, People are first of all saying that for a reason. Like a lot of women like to make it seem as though like people are just jealous and they wish they had your life and all the other stuff. And it's just like, no, it's not necessarily that. It's not that, but like the only way people can tell you that they told you so is that they told you before in the past. I also want to say that Young Miami is very lucky to be alive. Like, there's people who have come into proximity with Diddy that are no longer living, and they had close relationships with him, and they're no longer living. So this could have went a different way. And I know people joke about, Diddy being like a killer, like a serial killer, and like murderer. These are all alleged things. And also, there are a lot of people. There's a trail of people that have been in close proximity with Diddy that are no longer alive. So I just feel like this is still being treated very lackadaisical. She's like, that wasn't my experience. I didn't have that experience, blah, blah, blah. Which I feel like is also very like self-centered and very like fucked up to say, because whether you had a certain experience with someone or not, you know for a fact that other people had very abrasive, abusive, deadly experiences with this man. And instead of you at least acknowledging that and saying that, you're just like, that wasn't my experience. And that's just the cycle of patriarchy, because the idea of city girlism is very much like, I'd rather cry in a Rolls Royce than cry in a Toyota, when essentially you shouldn't be crying at all. No nigga should be having you crying. And if he got you crying, it's time to go. It's okay to be it's alone. Right? It's the same sentiment of it just being like, oh, I'd rather be with a bad guy than no guy at all. I'd rather have a bad man than no man at all. Where it's like, oh, I'd rather cry in a Rolls Royce. I don't want to cry in a Rolls Royce. I don't want to cry in a Toyota. And if I am to be crying in a Rolls Royce, I want it to be because I just signed for it and I got myself a Rolls Royce. I want it to be tears of joy. You know what I'm saying? Like, to think and assume and already have in your mind that you're going to get with a man who's going to treat you badly, you might as well get with the richest man that you can get, is pretty twisted. It's pretty twisted. And we should really reflect on why that's normalized. And when we get to the root of why that's normalized, it's because men are allowed to have bad behavior and get away with it. Because Diddy has had this reputation of being extremely violent and extremely fucked up for how long? For him to even still have access to new young women, for him to have access to friends, getting awards, being in romantic relationships and things like that, that's a reflection of our society and how we don't shame men enough. We don't punish men enough for their bad behavior, because as long as you can put me in a Rolls Royce, I don't mind crying from what you do to me. You right? Like, as long as you give me a hit album, I don't mind what you do to me or what you've done to somebody else. As long as you give me a podcast, I don't mind what you've done to other women. As long as you give me a podcast, I don't care if I'm put in the line of danger. As long as I have proximity to the things that you can give me while I'm putting myself in danger and in harm's way. Like I said, Carisha is lucky to be alive, dead ass. And I'm not over exaggerating. Like, we don't know what could have happened. Really. We don't know what happened. She does, and she lying for him. I'm gonna also insert like this video that I seen of her wearing like a symbolic necklace that Kim Porter wore, J-Lo wore, and Cassie had wore. And a lot of speculation is going on around like whether or not Young Miami is still being like schmoozing up with Diddy, and it seems like she might be because of the way that she answered the interview and things like that.
Before we even get to talking about that, I want y'all to look at this picture right quick. That's motherfucking goddamn gay Cassie. Okay, everybody sees motherfucking goddamn gay Cassie right there. You know she escaped and got paid off to where she dropped that lawsuit against P. Diddy here recently after these allegations have come out about him. I want you to take a look at another picture, if you don't mind. There go Risha, okay? Can you tell me what those pictures have in common? Okay, just look at the picture, observe, observe, observe. J-Lo also dated another star-studded celebrity who looks amazing in her 50s, but I cannot stand her music. Where's she at? There she go, boom. As you can see, there's something in this image as well that is very, very reminiscent of the last two pictures. Do you know what that is? Okay, and last but not least, I think this will be everyone's fave. Rest in peace, my love. Kim Porter is here. Even in that image, it looks like I'm coming for you, nigga, don't it?
Ciao. I also want to say Carisha genuinely may not have been abused, even though Diddy has a track record of being extremely violent and extremely abusive. She genuinely may not have been abused. And that's because people see abuse differently. And then also, abusers have their favorites too. Do you get what I'm saying? The same with like serial killers who like kind of like they let one person get away, or like serial killers who like lead the police to like one person's body. It's like sometimes they want to make it seem as though like, oh, I've changed or whatever, whatever. So we don't know if Carisha had any type of violent experience. I'm pretty sure she has, because an abuser doesn't change their stripes. Abusers get off on being abusive. And also, it may not have been to the extreme that his other victims were. And like I said, abusers do have their favorites too, in the same way serial killers sometimes let one of their victims go. That doesn't mean that they're not a serial killer, right? Girl, I'm eating this shit up. Just also want to say, like, just to wrap up this whole Young Miami Carisha thing, is that she didn't really say anything in detail, and I feel like that speaks volumes for itself. For her to not go into any type of detail at all when it comes to the whole Diddy thing, but went into extensive detail about her and JT and the whole City Girl thing, that's pretty loud within itself, because it's just like, she didn't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? She didn't talk about a trip they had, a celebration, a dinner, a birthday, a nothing, a gift, nothing. She talked about the fact that she did business deals and that she got like managers in the team, and like he was hyping her up and telling her that, you know, she could be a mogul and all the other things. And she said things like that. But in regards to like, for her speaking her truth, we danced around what the actual issue was. Saucy Santana did bring up the video, but all he said was the video. He didn't say the video of him and Cassie. He didn't say the video of him hitting Cassie, the video of him being exposed for abuse. He was like the lawsuit. He didn't get into details about what the lawsuit was about. So I feel like we were tiptoeing around the actual issues, and there was no details spoken, which speaks volumes within itself. I don't know if she under no NDA. I know that Diddy is currently going through several lawsuits, so maybe just for legal purposes, she doesn't want to say anything at all to like indict him or like put him in this even stickier situation. But if she genuinely had a abuse-free experience, if she genuinely had a great experience with him, she could say something, you know, without, and you know, getting him in trouble. Because if you had a great experience, you could say something. But her saying nothing at all and going into no detail, that speaks volumes. If you've gotten this far, thank you so much for getting this far. Please thumbs up the video. Please comment. Please share. Please rewatch the video. I had such a good time making this, getting this off my chest. This is how I really feel. I feel like patriarchy is very abrasive, and it comes up in different ways that isn't always exactly just like women need to be in the kitchen making sandwiches. Like patriarchy and misogyny doesn't always come out in a explicit way like that all the time. But I do feel like women are put in harm's way in different categories when they are in close proximity to men. And I just feel like we should reflect on that. And yeah, I don't think that it's better to have a crazy man. It's better to have an angry man. It's better to have an abusive man. It's better to have a bad man than no man at all. I feel like it's better to have happiness than to, you know, be put in harm's way. I feel like it's better to be in tune and have a grounded nervous system than to be with a, you know, someone that fucks up your nervous system and your digestive system and your endocrine system. I feel like it's better to have sleepful nights, restful sleeps. You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's more important than saying that you're in proximity to a man. Anyways, girl, thank you so much for watching this video. It's been a pleasure. And until next time, Pookie, boo, 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 boo.